This is Kyle McLaughlin, at-large candidate for the Rochester School Board. I would appreciate your vote on November 6th, and I am your hometown guy that supports hometown kids.
This is Joe Murphy, candidate at-large for the Rochester School Board. I would appreciate your vote come November 6th. Go Zebras.
This press conference with a thank you to John Fox.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
You're listening to Rochester, Indiana's #1 podcast, the Tan and J-Man Show, featuring Josh Munt and Tanner Lee.
You're listening to episode 99 of the Tan and J-Man Show. One more episode until we hit number 100.
Kind of hard to believe, 100 of these.
And our listenership has never been lower.
Yeah, we probably need to change something up. But we do appreciate everybody who listens, though.
Yes, sir.
And you can listen on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Google Play. Subscribe today if you haven't already.
Birdie Bogey.
Yeah, what you got for me this week?
Ronald Acuna Jr. became the youngest player in baseball history to hit a grand slam in a postseason game. He is 20 years old. I don't know how many days until his 21st birthday. What player was the youngest to hit a grand slam in postseason history until last night?
I'm going to have to do that while I do this Brave Chop.
Do you have any clue?
No.
This play,
Off the top of my head, I'll
give you a hint. This player is a top 3 probably player of all time. That narrows it down a little bit.
But that's, in whose opinion, top 3? Yours?
Well, I mean, it's pretty universally known that this guy's a top 3
okay.
kind of player.
All right.
That's not happened in our lifetime. There's probably not a top 3 player that has played in our lifetime.
And that's this week's Birdie Bogey, brought to you by Noble Gnome LLC, a fresh, locally grown organic garden by my cousin Bryce Romine and his wife Katie Romine. You can catch them pretty much every weekend at the Kosciuszko County Farmers Market.
Not zoo.
Not zoo, not fair. Farmers Market. They grow about pretty much anything you want, from kale to beets, radishes, corn, I think carrots. Yeah, pretty much anything that's a vegetable. So check it out. It's really cool. Like them on Facebook. Follow them on Instagram.
The Tan and J-Man Show, as always, sponsored by Fraunfelter Dental Clinic, a family-owned dental clinic that offers laser whitening and dentistry along with braces, implants, and your typical teeth cleanings. Go see Dr. Bill or Dr. DJ today for all your dental needs. Like them on Facebook and check out their website, www.stateoftheartsmile.com.
Speaking of smiling, both of us haven't been doing a lot of smiling lately when it comes to our sports teams.
I never smile when it comes to my sports teams. Rarely.
You probably should smile once in a while.
Have you seen my smile?
Oh, boy. That is a creepy. Never mind. Don't smile. But speaking of that, we recorded last week's podcast before the Cubs played the Rockies. They eventually lost in a 13-inning, almost a classic depending on who you ask.
It was a classic, terrible game with no offense at all.
That was the Rockies playoff in a nutshell, was no offense. But anyways, speak on that a little bit. Speak on what you want to see the Cubs do in the offseason. Then we'll go from there.
So the Cubs had many opportunities to put the division away. Really all of September, and they failed to do so. But it really came to a head that final weekend of the season against the St. Louis Cardinals, and then, of course, played the Brewers in Game 163, and the Rockies in the wild card game. And each of those games, they scored 1 run apiece. That just was kind of what they did all second half. Theo Epstein in his end-of-season press conference, which is always the best Theo Epstein press conference because he doesn't care anymore, and he's going to be wide open and brutally honest. And he pretty much said, our offense broke somewhere in the second half. It was completely unacceptable. We need to be an offensive juggernaut. And they were not. And, of course, the much maligned Chili Davis is getting the bulk of the blame, which, including me, want to see him fired. Now, Theo did not put 100% of the blame on Chili Davis, but he was also non-committal to Chili. And in my opinion, he needs to go.
I like Chili.
See, I don't like chili. Like the food, I don't like chili.
I just had to say that because, Kevin Malone, I'm thinking about the chili episode in The Office when he comes in and spills on the floor.
Spills it everywhere.
I really like chili.
That was kind of a perfect metaphor for the Cubs' offense in the second half. Chili Davis comes in and just makes a complete
mess.
I mean, it was perfect.
He pulled a foobar.
A what?
A foobar.
What the heck is that? I've heard that word before.
Effed up beyond repair.
Oh, there you go. Foobar. I like that. I'm going to use that a lot. I've heard it, but, I never knew what it...
Effed up beyond repair.
Effed up beyond repair. I like that. That's exactly what Chili Davis did. He came in to improve their situational hitting with runners in scoring position, and it completely backfired. You have a team with a ton of power, and launch angle should suit this team perfectly. Get the ball in the air, drive it out of the ballpark. They went from the 4th most homers in the National League in 2017 to the 12th most homers in the National League, which would be bottom 4. How many teams are in the National League? There's 15.
15 each division. There's 30 in MLB.
bottom 4 in the National League in homers. As for the runners in scoring position issue, their batting average dropped 5 points. Their on-base percentage dropped 30 points. Their slugging percentage dropped 30 points with runners in scoring position. He preaches an all-field approach, which you need to have an all-field approach, but they hired this guy to keep the slugging and have this all-field approach, and they went the complete opposite direction. In the second half, 48% of the balls they put into play were hit on the ground. By comparison, teams as a whole in baseball, when they hit the ball in the air or on a line, the collective batting average is 380. Balls that are hit on the ground, collective batting average, 194. So, completely backfired. Cubs hit a ton of ground balls, didn't score runs at all. Now you see what the Red Sox are doing after firing Chili Davis after last season. Now they have one of the greatest offenses in history. Of course, they added J.D. Martinez, who hit almost 50 homers. That helps a lot. But heading into the offseason, I don't anticipate too many coaching staff moves. I do think Chili Davis will ultimately be let go because he just did irreparable damage, especially to a guy like Wilson Contreras, who had a great year in 2017, was just terrible this year. Ian Happ regressed. Kyle Schwarber regressed. Cubs probably put too much hope into these young players going forward, and it kind of backfired. I mean, they won 95 games, and it's really amazing they did it because Theo put a lot of the blame on himself. His offseason was just horrendous last year, signing Yu Darvish to a big money contract, and he threw 40 butt innings for them before he blew out his arm. Tyler Chatwood comes over to Chicago and can't find the strike zone. He knob-blocked it once he got on that Wrigley Field mound. Signed Brandon Morrow to be their closer. Oft injured, pitched a ton last year, especially in the World Series. Joe rode him hard, almost to death out there, and his arm blew out before the All-Star break. They signed Steve Cishek, had a great year, but Joe pitched him in half their games. He pitched 81 games this year, and he had nothing left come September and was just really bad. So a lot of that's on Joe.
Like I said, I see a common occurring theme here. It's like Joe.
On Wednesday, after the season ended, I kind of got this feeling that Joe might not be back. You know, the Angels' job opened, and he was on their staff for 25-plus years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where he got his start. Kind of worked his way up through the minors and was on Mike Scioscia's staff when they won the World Series in 2002.
I didn't know that.
So he kind of has obviously a long history with them. But Joe said he's going to come back, but it'll likely be in a lame duck situation. He's not signed past next year. So depending on what happens, we could be sitting here with a new manager this time next year. Hopefully not this time next year. Hopefully they're still playing, and hopefully they give him a contract extension because greatest manager in Cubs history by a wide margin. But going forward towards the offseason, it will be an absolute disaster of an offseason if one of Bryce Harper or Manny Machado is not a Cub next year. I think they'll put all their chips in the Bryce Harper baskets. They need a young superstar to pair with a Chris Bryant and a Rizzo and a Baez. They need a complete outfield overhaul. Got very little out of Albert Almora and Jason Hayward and Ian Happ and Kyle Schwarber, and I would not be surprised if two of those guys just aren't there. And Mark Gonzalez, who's a Cubs beat reporter, kind of put together a list of guys that could potentially not be there next year, and his most likely to not be there is Ian Happ and Kyle Schwarber. Both are very useful players. They really hit right-handed pitching well. They're patient, walk a ton, have potential to hit quite a few homers, but ton of swing and miss. You don't really have a position to play them. Schwarber's a left field DH type only. Ian Happ's probably a corner outfielder, and he does that forgettably. So you hope they can pair those two together and hopefully get a young, controllable starter. They desperately need a closer. As I said, talking about Brandon Morrow's injury history, you can't roll with him being the go-to guy because you just don't know if he's going to hold up for a full season. They'll also be looking for a middle infielder because notable human piece of garbage, Addison Russell, suspended 40 games. He served 11 games of that suspension at the end of the year, so he'll be suspended 29 games, and they will, in my opinion, release him. They should release him when that suspension's up, so they should be in the market for a veteran middle infielder because you can't have Zobrist playing every day because he's ancient. But going into next year, I think you have a Jason Hayward, Albert Almora platoon in center, which is okay with me because Hayward's solid against righties and Almora's really good against lefties, and they're both really good defensively. Chris Bryant, hopefully healthy. He was having one of the best years of his career in the first 2 months of the season. Then he hurt his shoulder and completely sapped his power. Hope getting a few months' worth of rest can really do him good. Looking forward to the offseason. Already looking forward to spring training. I've been so bored without Cubs baseball. Now, in the wise words,
probably a little less stress though.
A lot less stress. Been able to sleep, eat. I could still eat. But in the wise words of our good friend Andrew Eiler, now the real season begins, the off season. So
he said that every year of his life.
I know because his team's rarely in the playoffs, and off season's fun. Could be crazy because there's some good players out there. I mean, Machado and Harper will get a ton of money. Got guys like Patrick Corbin from Arizona Diamondbacks who had a great year pitching for them. He's a free agent. He'll be in high demand. So offseason's always fun. It's a lot different than the NFL and NBA where all the good guys, I mean, they have that legal tampering period before free agency starts, and it seems like a flurry of moves on that first day or two, but baseball offseason kind of gets along there.
Well, it's weird to me. I'm a baseball fan, but I'm not a diehard by any means. I think people that listen to the podcast realize that now. But to me, it's unique because the offseason seems to go by faster for me than any of the other offseasons.
Oh, by far.
And it's weird because also baseball is like the season's the longest, and yet their offseason goes by the quickest. It's just interesting.
Yeah. Well, like training camp for football, it's 1 month, season starts. I mean, baseball, it's a month and a half. Season ends November 1st. You're back February 15th. You know? I mean, that's just...
It's a good day.
Oh, I didn't even think about it. February 16th, they're back. And that's really only 3 months worth of offseason where the NFL is freaking 7 months. And
well, we'll have to wait till come February or before that for another little Cubs report out of it. But
I'm sure we'll get some off-season
job well done this year. It's getting better and better, Cubs reports.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm exhausted.
The people of Fulton County like it.
And excited not to talk Cubs baseball for Probably a month.
Yeah, we'll get back on it. Yeah. So, baseball is still going on, though. One series ended today. The Astros swept the Indians. Surprised by that?
I'm
surprised it was a sweep.
I'm surprised it was a sweep as well. I think the Astros are the best team in the playoffs. I mean, that pitching staff's loaded. Offense is loaded. The Indians had the same amount of wins over 500 teams as the 46 and 113 or whatever Baltimore Orioles did.
Yeah.
It was just a product of what division they played in. But they didn't play a very hard schedule just because that division sucks so bad. But their pitching is phenomenal, and they just did not pitch well at all.
Now the Astros are awaiting the winner of the Red Sox-Yankees series. Game 3 starts here in about 30 minutes in New York. As a Yankee fan, I got a good feeling about this. I think taking 1 of 2 in Boston was absolutely huge. I got a good feeling about tonight's game.
They are favored tonight.
Yeah.
Who's
Severino is on the hill.
Who's for the Sox?
Eovaldi.
Yeah,
Eovaldi, yeah. Eovaldi. So
I think Eovaldi's a former Yankee, by the way.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Wow.
He's pitched for about every dang team.
He was
in
on
that
the Rays
division.
right before
he was on the Rays.
Sox. But I'm a little biased, but I don't think there's many, if not any, atmosphere like Yankee Stadium in the playoffs.
It's a pretty good one.
Something about it. I think it's better in Fenway. I thought of course, the Yankees jumped on the Red Sox the other night. Fenway was pretty dead the other night, but the Bronx can get rocking, and there should be some homers tonight. Hopefully, they're by the guys in pinstripes, not the guys in gray.
Eovaldi is a guy you can get to early. Throws a ton of strikes. Throws really hard, but he's very hittable, and that obviously favors the Yankees. Also favors the Yankees. Red Sox bullpen is not good outside of Kimbrel. Yankees have 4 closers, so that really shortens the game. I mean, you go Severino for 5, and then put in your 4 closers, and it's game over. You know?
Usually, they have had some hiccups here and there during the season, but I think the Yankees get it tonight, and I think they ultimately actually win the series. Even though I picked Boston to win the World Series last week, I changed my mind.
Win tonight, and you're feeling pretty dang good.
On the NL. The Brewers swept the Rockies. Rockies' bats went cold at the worst time.
Well, they were pretty bad
all year, really.
It's weird.
But, their pitching was better than their hitting, which is really weird.
Brewers are freaking rolling, though. Won 11 in a row. They're looking pretty
what
good.
Score of the Dodgers?
Dodgers are up 6-2 late.
So
looks
like the Brewers-Dodgers.
Going to move on. Be a great series. I think it'll go 7.
And I'm tired of the Dodgers.
I think this is... Well, Dodgers missed the NLCS in 2015 when the Mets won their run. But I think they've been
6 straight West titles.
Like 6 of the last 7 NLCSs. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, they've been their last 3.
Yeah.
2 of them against the Cubs. I'm sick of them too. I do hope they beat the Brewers. I don't like the Brewers at all. Christian Yelich's a great player. He's my MVP. There's something about the Brewers. I don't like Josh Hader and his racist ways. And I don't like Craig Counsell either.
He just decides to go to Notre Dame. There's just something about him.
It's because he's small.
I don't know.
It's that weird batting stance he had.
2-time World Series champ.
Yeah. Was he the one that had the walk-off hit for the Marlins?
Mm-hmm.
Was he?
Yep. And then did he score the winning run for Arizona? I know Luis Gonzalez hit the guy in, but did he score it?
It was a white guy. I don't remember if it was Counsell, though.
Might have been Matt Williams.
I was thinking that or Mark Grace. I don't know why Mark Grace would have been running.
I think it was a heavier set guy than Counsell now. Yeah. Like I'm kind of replaying my mind, which I don't like to, but I've seen him many times. No, I got.
You weren't even a Yankee
I wasn't.
fan,
I was a Cub fan.
Made a terrible choice.
I grew up. joking. Oh, there's days. Trust me.
We could be having a lot more fun on this podcast if you would have
actually it'd probably be a Cub podcast only, but then there'd be some dead time in the off season.
No, I can make it non-dead, undead.
Some dead heads out there.
Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I never thought we'd talk about Grateful Dead on the podcast, but there's a reference there. So, all right, what are we talking about next?
I think we go football, foosball.
Yeah, football. Want to go college or pro?
College.
College. I don't have any.
Just want to predict games. There
was no boiler breakdown this week. We took the week off as Purdue had a bye week. Now they get ready for the Illini.
There were a few upsets.
There were some top 10
Northwestern
upsets.
Winning in Michigan State. Michigan State is no longer
we
ranked.
both predicted a close game there because Michigan State just hasn't looked that good.
I think we both picked MSU, though.
Yes, we did. Much needed to win for Pat Fitzgerald and company, though.
Florida beat LSU in
Knocked
the
them
swamp.
out. Yep.
I think we picked both. I think 3 of us picked Florida last
Joe
week.
picked LSU.
1 picked LSU. There wasn't really any other. IU hung in there for a little while against Ohio State.
We kind of predicted that.
Notre Dame, who I picked against, I went into Blacksburg, and I'm thinking Notre Dame is going to run the table.
I got a question about Notre Dame here in a little bit for you. But yeah, there's no boiler breakdown. We will have one next week after Purdue plays Illinois. Big game for both teams, really. Illinois is coming off a win against Rutgers, a.k.a. Buckers. And please go vote on change.org if you haven't already to kick them out of the Big Ten.
We have 5 signatures. I don't think we're going to get there.
Illinois is now looking for their 4th win.
Yes.
And Purdue's looking for their 3rd, which would be 3 in a row.
Purdue's a 10-point favorite on the road.
It just bumped up to 10.5. It's a 3:30 game on Fox Sports 1. I was surprised they chose this game instead of the Penn State-Michigan State game, which is on Big Ten Network.
Michigan State's so mother-loving boring.
Yeah.
Both Purdue and Illinois can really put up points. They're kind of polar opposites, though. Purdue does it through the air. Illinois does it on the ground.
Yeah.
I think Illinois is the 7th best, has the 7th best rushing attack, I think, in the country.
How is Illinois' pass defense?
Brutal.
Okay.
They're young. I think they start at least 2 freshmen. They played really well against Arthur Sitkowski of Rutgers last week because he threw 3 interceptions and he just wasn't. He's just a bad true freshman.
And the reason I ask is because Purdue's pass defense is brutal. Their run defense is better than their pass defense. So that might help them a little bit. But I don't know. They're coming off a bye. They should be focused. There's no reason they shouldn't be.
Illinois' top 2 running backs, Reggie Corbin and Mike Epstein, are number 1 and number 2 in yards per carry in the Big Ten. They got A.J. Bush back, who's a dual-threat quarterback. He's mainly a runner. He's 6'5", but really fast, long strides. So they'll be able to run a little bit. I don't think they'll be able to stop Purdue's passing offense at all. They don't get much of a pass rush. So I think Purdue wins by 14.
I'm looking at the injuries. Purdue has 3 question marks. Cole Herdman is a question mark with a Steiner. Kawan Jones for Purdue is questionable with undisclosed injury. And Simeon Smiley, cornerback, is questionable with a concussion. I'm going to get some of these names wrong. Larry Oladipo.
Larry
Oladipo's questionable with an undisclosed injury.
He hasn't played since week 3, I think.
Ricky Smalling is questionable with a foot injury. And Bennett Williams is questionable.
He might be out for the year. He was
their
best defensive back. Is a hamstring. Best defensive back last year as a freshman was an ESPN.com freshman All-American. Suspended the first few games, then blew out his hamstring, so he's a likely redshirt.
Well, let's get right to it. Let's start picking games. Purdue, Illinois.
Give me Purdue 38-24.
So you have them covering. Mm-hmm. Give me Purdue right below the spread, 31-21. Iowa at Indiana. Iowa's a 4.5-point favorite.
Give me the Hoosiers 24-21.
That would be IU's 5th win of the year. Give me the Hawkeyes in a close one.
I think it'll be close either
Indiana
way.
covers the spread. Rutgers at Maryland. Maryland is a 24-point favorite.
Good Lord.
Maryland's a hard team to figure out.
They are. Give me Maryland fairly handily. I think they probably likely cover that one.
Yeah, I think Maryland covers. Rutgers isn't going to win their game.
Rutgers is arguably the worst team in the Big Ten of the past decade. I mean, Illinois had a 2-10 team in 2012. Purdue had that 1-11 team. I think both of those teams beat this really bad Rutgers team.
I can't disagree with that. Interesting game here. 0-5 Nebraska travels to 2-3 Northwestern. Northwestern is a 5.5-point favorite.
Give me Northwestern. Scott Frost's debut is not going very well.
Not going good. Northwestern gets this win, gets back to 3-3. PJ Fleck and his 3-2 Gophers rode their boats down to Columbus and faced number 3 Ohio State. Ohio State is a 29.5-point favorite.
Ohio State covers easy.
Minnesota's not playing good.
Minnesota has a walk-on freshman quarterback. Actually, their starting quarterback, Minnesota's, who's the walk-on, was the starting quarterback in high school, and his backup was Rutgers scholarship quarterback this year. So
I like Ohio State. And for Purdue fans that are interested and might not have read on any social media, the Ohio State-Purdue game next week at Ross-Ade on October 20th got announced for a 7:30 ABC national game. So
game day?
No, but I think Herbie will be there. I think that would be his. He usually does the ABC game at night, so that would be his second Purdue game he's called this year. He called the Northwestern game. So interesting. I always like those night games on the ABC. They don't give them very
often.
Fun
atmosphere.
But they'll probably get shellacked. But talk more about that next week.
I love that word, shellacked. I use it a ton.
Oh, I'm going to use it more later when we talk NFL. Michigan State travels to Happy Valley to take on number 8 Penn State. Penn State's 13.5-point favorite.
Penn State large.
Yeah, I think so too. And then Michigan State falls at 3-3.
D'Antonio could feel some heat. D'Antonio or D'Antoni?
D'Antonio.
I always get Mike and Mark mixed
And this is the game day matchup of the week. Number 15 Wisconsin travels to number 12 Michigan.
That's game day?
It's game day.
Are you freaking kidding
Michigan's 7.5-point favorite.
What a boring game.
This is a crucial game for both teams.
Both.
Because the loser loses their second game of the year.
Give me Michigan at home in a close one.
Michigan's defense is starting to play really
Harbaugh goes,
well.
eats steak with his skim milk.
Yeah, I think Michigan wins this and kicks Wisconsin out of any hope to sneak into the playoff somehow as a one-loss team. So, top 25 games. We got, let's see here. We got one on Friday night. Then the undefeated number 23 ranked South Florida Bulls travel to Tulsa. Only 7.5-point favorites.
Give me South Florida by 11.
Tulsa's 1-4. I like South Florida to cover this one. God-awful Tennessee takes their 2-3 record on the road. Number 21 Auburn. Auburn's coming off a loss to Mississippi State, which the J-Man called.
I think I was the only one that called that.
I think you were. Auburn's 16.5-point favorite.
Give me the Tigers cover.
I like the Tigers as well. Covering at home too. Number 14 Florida, 7-point favorites on the road at Vanderbilt, who's 3-3.
Give me the Gators. Dan Mullen's doing a great job there.
Yep, Florida covers easy. Pittsburgh, and coming off an overtime win against Syracuse, they're 3-3. They travel to number 5, 6-0 Notre Dame, who's a 21-point favorite.
Notre Dame covers. There have been these rumors about Ian Book supposedly having a suspension coming. I haven't heard that from a credible source. It's likely some bogus rumor, but it's kind of interesting that it's out there, I guess. But regardless of who's quarterback on Saturday, Notre Dame rolls.
I think Notre Dame wins this one. True or false, Notre Dame goes undefeated from here on out.
Absolutely true. I think they are playing in the playoff. Would you take, the committee will likely take Notre Dame, but would you take a Notre Dame over, say, 1-loss Georgia, 1-loss Ohio State?
If they're undefeated, yes. Yeah. Even though they don't play in a conference, which hurts them, you have to take an undefeated Notre Dame. They would get ridiculed. The playoff would be set to 8 teams next year in a heartbeat. So maybe that's what we need to happen.
No, I'd be okay with it.
If I had to say if Notre Dame would go undefeated or not, as of right now, I would say yes. But I really think, and I was speaking to a Notre Dame fan yesterday who thinks they will slip up in a game they're not supposed to down the stretch due to their offense.
Ian Book's been great on offense for him. Now, if Wimbush was still their starter, I'd say they probably lose one just because he's not very good.
Well, let's go through their schedule
Ian Book
real quick.
Is a solid QB. QB1.
Next week they have a bye week. Then they go to Navy, which is a neutral game, I believe, somewhere. And then they travel to Northwestern. Watch out for that one, all of a sudden.
It'll be 90% Notre Dame fans
I know, but
stadium.
I really think that. I've been saying Syracuse, but Syracuse just lost a bad game to Pitt. Then they host Florida State, who dropped a bad one to Miami.
Choked.
Then they, let's see here. Then they host Syracuse in the Shamrock Series up
Pinstripe Bowl.
Up in Yankee Stadium. Then they go to USC.
USC is not very good this year.
Oh, so that schedule at one time looked really, really hard. It's not looking.
Turned out to be not very hard at all.
Not looking too hard. So Notre Dame needs to start next week. Notre Dame fans, you need to root for Purdue next week against Ohio State.
It's not gonna happen.
But you know what I'm saying, though. They need to root for the teams ahead to get knocked off. Ohio State's number 3. That's what I'm saying.
I get it.
I mean, Notre Dame fans will never root for Purdue, but maybe in this case they should. Okay, back to the matchups. Number 22, Texas A&M, a 2-point favorite on the road to South Carolina, coming off a really close win over Missouri.
Give me the Cox.
You just want to say that word.
I did want to say it.
Give me A&M. Number 2, Georgia heads to number 13, LSU. Georgia's a 7-point favorite. My college roommate, Matthew McClellan, a.k.a. Big Tex, is going to be in the house for this matchup.
Mr. Pool Guy. Give me the Bulldogs. And a close one. Jake Fromm has a really good game.
Give me Georgia, but LSU covers. This is gonna be classic.
It's gonna be a good one.
Number 10, UCF. Up to 10. Are they gonna spoil the party for somebody in the playoffs? 4.5-point favorite on the road to Memphis, who's 4-2.
Give me Central Florida. I think Central Florida did enough complaining last year that if they're undefeated, they might be able to sneak in there. I still doubt it.
Hype on the boys, doing it all with Scott Frost players. Yeah, I think UCF wins and covers. Baylor travels to number 9 Texas, coming off a huge win.
Number 9 Texas.
5-1. Kind of back where they belong there. Texas 14.5-point favorite.
Give me Texas.
Cover.
Big.
Cover. They're looking good. Number 7 Washington's a 3-point favorite on the road. Number 17 Oregon. Just think if Oregon would have held on against Stanford.
Give me Oregon. Justin Herbert has a great game. Be a really high-scoring, good game between two really good quarterbacks in Jake Browning and Justin Herbert.
I picked Washington as one of my playoff teams. They're ranked 7th. They're getting back in the mix. I got to go Washington. Do you know the only Pac-12 team that's undefeated is Colorado?
Colorado.
Just a little tidbit.
They haven't played anyone yet.
Josh's number 16, Miami, Florida Hurricanes.
Huge comeback victory over FSU over the weekend.
Big 20-point comeback.
Yeah, they were down 27-7.
Traveled to Virginia. Miami's 5.5-point favorite.
Give me the U.
Missouri has lost 2 in a row, lost to Georgia, and then a heartbreaker at South Carolina. They traveled to number 1 Alabama. Alabama's 28.5-point favorite.
Bama large. This might be the best Alabama team. It's definitely the best quarterback they've had in
Can we get to Heisman?
Yes. And he hasn't even played a fourth quarter
Hasn't thrown a pick yet.
It's ridiculous. He's so good.
Alabama wins, but they don't cover 28.5 points.
You're just saying that because Purdue lost to Missouri.
No, I'm saying that because Alabama seems to call off the dogs for whatever reason every week, and they don't cover.
It seems like they're the king of letting their opponent backdoor cover when they're like a 30-point favorite, which is not a big deal to them, of course.
Number 6, West Virginia. 6.5-point favorite at Iowa State, who went into Stillwater and beat Oklahoma State. Joe Murphy predicted that last week.
He did. He was the only one, I think. Country roads, man. Take me home.
I'll take West Virginia by 10. Close game, but West Virginia gets it done, and they're trying to become the Big 12 team to make the playoff. In number 19, Colorado, only undefeated team in the Pac-12, 7-point underdogs on the road at USC.
Give me Southern California.
I agree.
At home.
I agree. I think USC wins this one, but Colorado's no joke. I mean, they got some good players, and it's impressive what McIntyre's. I think that's his name, McIntyre.
I think so.
What he's doing out there. So, any other college football notes? Any games I forgot? Any winners and losers or anything?
I don't think I have
stood out over the weekend. I can't think of too much since my team was on a bye. It was kind of nice just to kick back, relax, and watch some games. Let's move right on to NFL. I won't cover them a bunch because I cover the Broncos on the Orange Weekly postgame podcast, like our listeners know by now. But I have to talk about it a little bit. The Broncos got absolutely shellacked yesterday.
Love it.
I think the final was
34-16
to the 1-3 going into yesterday. New York Jets. This is a game the Broncos had to have with hosting the LA Rams, who are undefeated. Arguably, they're either the best or second best team in the league. Them or Kansas City. They're hosting them this weekend. Then they go to Arizona on Thursday night next week. Then they go to Arrowhead in 2 weeks. So you're playing the Rams and the Chiefs, 2 of your next 3 games. Had to have the Jets game. Didn't happen. They made Isaiah freaking Crowell look like Barry freaking Sanders yesterday, running for 270-plus yards. Jets single-game rushing record. The Jets, as a team, ran for, I think...
Over 300.
Over 300, yeah, because Powell had 99. Oh, gosh, man, it was brutal. This Bronco defense has fallen so far from 2 years ago. Offense just can't put up points. Offensive line can't block. This is bad.
Stars are bad.
I look for some heads to roll soon. I think Joe Woods, defense coordinator, gets canned first, maybe as early as next week or at least soon. I was kind of surprised it wasn't this week. And then I think Vance is shortly after that. There's no way Vance Joseph makes it through this season.
I agree.
And John Elway starting to get some figures pointed to him, which deservedly so.
His drafts have been terrible.
And not only that, he's starting to whiff on some free agents. Menelik Watson was a big contract, lasted last year, put him on the IR to start the year, cut him. That was like a $30 million mistake.
That's what happens
Marquette King.
Yeah.
You pick him up.
Case Keenum.
He's done. Case Keenum's playing like garbage.
That's what happens when you don't hire a scouting guy as your general manager.
Yeah, it's not looking too good. And I don't know. This is a crucial point in the franchise because some of the moves going forward in the next couple weeks, it could impact the franchise for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's already looking like they should have drafted one of those 4 rookie quarterbacks that are playing pretty well. Sam Darnold played well yesterday. But that's not a good Jets football team they got killed by. And even though this Broncos team is a lot more talented, in my opinion, than last year's, starting to think the record's going to be pretty similar.
What they end up last week?
5-11.
Yeah.
They're 2-3 right now.
That's what I had him on that.
I had him 8-8. So there, I don't see 8 wins. And interesting times out in Denver. But if you want to hear all my thoughts and my good buddy Jeff Ryan's thoughts, listen to the Orange Weekly postgame podcast. We'll be up sometime tonight. So Dolphins lost a tough one yesterday. The Bengals had a 17-point lead at one point.
With 5 minutes left in the third quarter. It was a slow motion train wreck. You just couldn't do anything about it. You just had to sit back and kind of laugh at it, and that's pretty much what I did. So
yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Local teams, the Bears were on a bye. Now they travel to Miami this weekend, and the Colts hung in there for a little while on Thursday night at New England. Ultimately, wasn't enough. Their wide receivers suck. They're bad. I mean,
that's a bad team around.
Andrew plays decent, and these guys can't catch. They got like 10 guys injured right now. It's bad. Bad times in Indianapolis. But yeah, we're only about a half hour away from the start of this game, but we got to predict the Monday night game. Washington at New Orleans tonight. Drew Brees needs 201 yards for the all-time passing yards record.
This will be the J-Man's Bucket Prediction of the Week.
Dano, hold it a minute. I want to book this one.
Drew Brees will become the all-time passing leader in football history. Always with these guys, you have to put an asterisk by it because Marino would have like 90,000 yards.
You could do that with every record, every sport.
Nope. Only a quarterback play. But Drew Brees, obviously a great quarterback. He will do it tonight. That is my safest bucket I've ever had. Although last week, I don't think he reached 200 yards against the New York Football Giants.
The Saints at home, I like them to beat the Redskins.
Roll.
It's pretty incredible what Drew Brees has done for a second-round pick. Even though he was the first pick in the second round, he was a second-round pick.
He was picked 31, though, or 32.
Yeah, Texans weren't in the league
So technically, it'd be a first-round pick now.
He was picked 31.
31.
Texans made 32 teams in the league, I think.
Well, it would have been a first-round pick if it was 31 then, because there would have been 31 teams before the Texans joined. Yeah, dingus.
No, he was picked 31. There was 30. No. I'm picked 32. You're right.
I'm 100%
picked 32.
right.
You're confusing me.
I don't have the.
But yes, he was the first pick in the second round by the San Diego Chargers. So, there you go. All right, Thursday night game this week. I hate these matchups with a passion.
Is that NFC East?
Yes. Philadelphia at New York Giants.
If the Redskins lose tonight, which they will, not one team in the NFC East has a winning record. Eagles, big-time loser, losing at home to a reeling Vikings team. Lost their running back, Jay Ajayi, to a torn ACL. He's out for the season. Give me the New York Football Giants.
Did you know the Giants scored 31 points yesterday? They had not scored 30 points in a game since Week 17 in 2015. 2015.
That's crazy. Odell Beckham Jr. threw a touchdown. The ball traveled 24 yards in the air. Eli Manning has not completed a pass. That was 24 yards in the air.
It's the Pat Shurmur offense. They don't throw downfield.
Since 2016.
They don't throw downfield.
Also, Eli Manning, bad quarterback. Shouldn't be a Hall of Famer, but he will be because he won 2 rings.
That's a team that needs a quarterback.
He's freaking Troy Aikman.
So, you're picking the Eagles?
No, I'm picking the Giants after all that. Because the Eagles are reeling. They're one of my losers.
I'm going to take the Giants too. Let's go ahead and go winners, losers real quick. 2 each, and then we'll pick
Eagles,
games.
loser. Dolphins blowing a 17-point lead. Could have moved to 4-1 with the 2 home games looming. Then they just completely crapped themselves. They were a loser. Winner, Cleveland Browns. Have won their second game.
That's a pretty good team that beat, too.
Not bad. They've won 2 games, which is more than they did the previous 2 years combined. Another winner, Kansas City Chiefs. Just keep rolling, man.
Yeah, I could pick a lot of losers and winners. Team. Broncos are definitely a loser, but I'm not even counting them in my loser category because they just are. Falcons, what in the heck's wrong with them?
They're a loser. I agree. 1-4.
Dan Quinn's got to get some heat.
Good.
Pittsburgh just killed them. Tennessee Titans.
That was a loser.
Back, you go to Buffalo and you lose by a point to the
9 or what was it, 13-12 or something like that? Terrible loss.
Winners?
Can't think of many that were like true winners. Besides Browns.
Winners.
Lions beating the Packers.
Killed the Packers.
Bears are a winner for not playing and maintaining.
I'm trying to think of somebody else winner.
Arizona Cardinals got their first win of the year. Are they the last win this team? Were they the last one this team?
I think so. Or have the Niners won a game?
Yes.
The Rams held on to beat the Seahawks. I'd say they're a winner. Oh no, Vikings at Eagles. There's my winner. I thought the Vikings played good. So, all right. Tampa Bay on the road at Atlanta.
Atlanta gets a W this week.
Atlanta's 1-4. Tampa Bay's 2-2. Jameis Winston will get the start. I like Atlanta at home. Pittsburgh at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals moved to
4-1.
5-1.
4-1.
They moved to 5-1. I'm saying they're gonna win.
Oh, they're gonna win. Yes, I like the Cincinnati Bengals. The LA Chargers take their 3-2 record on the road to Cleveland.
Give me the Chargers. I don't believe in this Browns team. Their defense is really good, but they just struggle to put up points. Even though Landry said they put up 40 a game.
Chargers are an up and down team. Give me the Brownies.
You just can't help yourself but pick against the Chargers.
I just don't like to pick for the AFC West, to be honest. Buffalo Bills, coming off a 1-point win over the Titans, head to my AFC representative in the Super Bowl, the Houston Texans. Nice win for them last night against the Cowboys.
Won 2 in a row.
Cowboys are so overrated.
Moved to 3-3 always. They're always overrated. Dak Prescott, most overrated quarterback in football.
I like the Texans. Bears, 3-point favorite on the road to Miami.
2 bad offenses, 1 really freaking good defense. Dolphins lost their best offensive lineman, Laramie Tunsil, to a concussion, and the game completely went downhill after he went out. Tannehill had less than half a second because Sam Young, former Notre Dame offensive lineman, worst offensive lineman I have ever seen in the history of the NFL.
I think Denver has one right now trying to compete for that title. He holds every play. Garrett Holes, not Bowles.
Bears 16-13.
I like the Bears. I think their defense is going to be too much pressure.
Dolphins have scored 1 touchdown with Ryan Tannehill as quarterback in their past 7 quarters.
Yeah, I like the Bears. Bears are rolling. Arizona travels to Minnesota.
Give me the Vikes.
Yeah, Rosen's got to feel some pressure from that defense. I like the Vikings. Colts at Jets. It looked like Colts would have an easy game. Jets put a whooping on the Broncos yesterday.
I think it'll be a good game. I think Colts sneak it out, though.
I like that pick. I'll take the Colts. Rematch of Super Bowl III. Seattle travels to Oakland. That's going to be a fun one.
Seahawks played pretty well yesterday. They lost. It was at home. Give me the Raiders. I just think Seahawks are done. Raiders aren't good, though. And once again, John Gruden said we need to find more ways to put pressure on.
He's just doing that on purpose now. He's being a jackass.
I hope so. He is.
I actually am taking the Raiders.
There you go.
Close one. I don't like either of those teams. Carolina travels to Washington.
Carolina.
Yeah, they'll
playing pretty good football.
Carolina improves to 4-1.
Hit a 63-yard field goal to beat the New York Football Giants. 3 60-yard field goals have been made this year. 2 of them have been game winners against the Giants.
Yeah, that was impressive right there. A team that needs to shut the hell up and play, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need to stop talking and play football. Ramsey needs to shut his mouth.
Yeah, Ramsey gets beat so much, too.
Yeah,
he got whooped by Tyreek Hill.
Shut up and play football, guys.
Who do they play?
They play at Dallas.
Give me Cowboys. Screw Jacksonville. Blake Bortles is a terrible quarterback.
He's not good.
Brutal.
Not good. That was a nice catch he had off his lineman's helmet yesterday.
Yeah.
I do like the Jags here,
Tannehill-esque.
though. I do like the Jags here. The Rams at the Broncos.
What's that line?
7.
I think Rams by 14, something like 31-17.
Like the Rams 38-20. I want to believe. I just see no way. This, yeah. Yep. Baltimore at Tennessee.
Give me the Titans. Titans.
Titans at home. I like that. I'll take the Titans. Really good Sunday game. Really good Sunday night game. Undefeated Kansas City Chiefs are underdogs on the road at Foxborough.
Give me New England. New England's not losing at home. Place will be rocking.
Do I have to pick one of these teams?
Root for a meteor.
I actually think New England stops the Kansas City undefeated streak here. And we got a traditional matchup here. Two of the most historic franchises in the NFL. The San Francisco, I about call them the Chargers. San Francisco 49ers travel to Green Bay Monday night.
Give me Packers big.
Packers don't impress me.
No.
Rodgers doesn't look like himself.
Rodgers doesn't have many people to throw to.
Look who's starting for San Francisco.
Right.
I mean, Packers. In your bye week teams, this is going to hurt me in fantasy, are New Orleans Saints and Detroit Lions.
That's going to hurt me, too.
I got Michael Thomas.
I had to go pick up Andy Dalton because I have Drew Brees.
Looks like I'm going to get my first L of the season this week.
As always, the Tan and J-Man or the J-Man. Sorry, I went into a little. Yeah. The J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week is sponsored by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watring.
Watring with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. I'm a multi-line agent specializing in life, home, renters, auto, business insurance, workers' compensation, and farm insurance. Please contact me at travis.watering@infb.com or 219-869-4561. And my business Twitter is @TTW_IFBI.
And we always have more room for other sponsors. If anybody wants to hop on, just contact me or Josh via text, social media, whatever. Especially for the Boiler Breakdown. That'd be a segment I'd love to get a sponsor on if somebody owns a business and is a big Purdue fan. Even if you're not a Purdue fan, I mean, we'll take any sponsorships. It's very inexpensive, and we'll make sure to get your name out there as much as possible.
You're starting a new segment this week.
Yeah, I got a little fun segment. I thought I would do this right before Birdie Bogey, at least this week. Maybe next week I might put it up. But on this day in sports, so this is events that happen on October 8th throughout the history of ever. So, let's see here. We got in 1909, the Chicago Cubs beat the New York Giants 4-2 in a playoff to win the NL pennant.
The New York Baseball Giants.
New York Baseball Giants. Let's see here. What else? We got a lot of baseball. In 1939, the New York Yankees sweep the Reds in the 36th World Series to win their 4th straight World Series.
Classic. Reds choking in big games.
1950, the Cleveland Browns play the Pittsburgh for the first time ever. That's a pretty good rivalry now. Beat the Steelers 30-17. In 1953, in Birmingham, Alabama, bars Jackie Robinson's Negro White All-Stars from playing there. Robinson gives in and drops white players from his group.
Nice.
That's an interesting little fact. I did not know about that. In 1957, on this day, Brooklyn Dodgers announced their move to Los Angeles.
What year?
1957.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. I want to pull out some other good ones here. Sorry, I should have looked these up earlier. I'm reading through the list. In 1995, Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino breaks Fran Tarkenton's NFL career receptions record.
Completions.
Yep, I just read that wrong. That doesn't make sense. Receptions. Completions.
No asterisk by that.
No. And this day in 1995, Edgar Martinez drives home tying and winning runs to rally Mariners to 6-5 win in the bottom 11th to beat the Yankees and win the AL Division Series. That Mariners team did not make the World Series, though.
No.
And
Ichiro's rookie year.
That is.
He was still playing this year. He was 27 when he started his career in 2001. He was still playing this year.
Man, that's
2018.
It's hard to
for
believe.
anyone that didn't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any birthdays or anything on this day. None that are worth sharing. So,
Birdie Bogey.
That is what happened on this day in sports and on October 8th.
Ronald Acuna Jr., who is going to be an absolute all-timer, became the youngest player in Major League Baseball history to hit a grand slam in a postseason game. Who was the youngest before he did it?
Ted Williams?
That's a good guess, but no. I'll give you one more guess.
Babe Ruth.
Nah. The Mickey Mantle.
Yeah. Yeah, he entered my mind early. I just thought Ted Williams right away. I thought
it's a good guess, but then you think about the Red Sox not winning the World Series.
And Ted went away for the war.
18.
And he went away for the war. For
what's crazy about that? He left, took 4 years off for the World War II, came back, hit like 380 his first year after taking 4 years off.
It's crazy.
Greatest hitter of all time.
It's crazy. And before we sign off here, a little local sports. The sectionals had their drawing. RHS grad Austin Faust John Glenn Falcons, I believe, play McConaughey. If they win that game, they play the winner of Tippecanoe Valley, Peru. A little interesting matchup. And RHS drew Taylor, who has the athletic director. Or Taylor's athletic director is Ryan Johnson, another former RHS grad. So pretty cool little connection there. And that's going to do it for episode 99 of the Tan and J-Man Show. Like us on Facebook if you haven't already. Follow us on Twitter at Tan and J-Man Show. On Instagram at The Tan and J-Man Show. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Subscribe to and listen to our podcast every week on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Google Play. Give us a like and review on Facebook and iTunes. And until next week in our 100th episode, have a good week, everybody.